Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're here, you probably have one or two questions, or maybe both of them. What is a Gyaru? And who is MXTX? If you have neither of those questions or just want to skip to the art, that's also totally chill. Just hit this timestamp here and you can skip right to it. Firstly, we'll answer the question, what is Gyaru? Gyaru, or gal, is a Japanese street fashion that was very popular in the late 90s and into the early 2010s, though its peak was in the 2000s. And is generally recognized by the big hair, heavy makeup, and short skirts. It's also commonly seen with faux furs and animal print designs. There are many different styles of Gyaru, or gal fashion, such as one gal, or big sis gal, sporty gal, amikaji gal, or American-inspired gal, and most often seen in anime, ko-gal, which combines gal fashion with seifuku, or school uniforms. While gal fashion has fallen out of popularity in more recent years, it has come to be combined with more casual themes and outfits, and certain traits of it can still be found in present-day wear. While I always had a bit of interest in gal fashion, my true interest in it really exploded when I watched Super Gals, which is an anime starring three gals, Ran Kotobuki, who wears amikaji, Miyu Yamazaki, who wears sporty gal, and Aya Hoshino, who wears one gal. The anime is inspiring in that it's all about expressing yourself and being true to yourself. And while I do generally recommend it, it does feature age gap romance, so if that's not your thing, maybe don't check it out. However, since I watched it, my interest in gal fashion has always remained. I've drawn some of my favorite characters in gal outfits before, even, such as Aventurine and Dr. Ratio from Honkai Star Rail, and since then I've been wanting to draw more characters in this fashion, which is what brought me to draw the MXTX couples in these outfits. And that brings us to the second question. Who is MXTX? Before I answer this, I just quickly want to say that my Chinese pronunciation is not great. I am working on it, but please don't come at me if I mispronounce any names or titles. Alright, so MXTX, or Mojang Tongshu, is a Chinese novelist who writes Danmei. Danmei, in short, without getting too into it, is Chinese BL novels. Now, if you're not into BL or are interested in these series but don't want spoilers, no worries. I'm not going to get into it outside of stating who the canon pairings are and a few non-essential parts of their characters. MXTX has 3 series. What is probably her most popular series, due to its popular donghua, or Chinese animation, is Heaven Official's Blessing, or Zhangguang Jifu, often shortened to TGCF. It stars Xie Lian and Hua Cheng, often referred to together as Hua Lian. My favorite series from MXTX is, it has many official English titles. The one I know it best as is Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation, or Modao Zushu, shortened often to MDZS. There is also a popular live-action series based off it known as The Untamed. It stars Wei Wuxin and Lan Wangji, and they're referred to together as Wang Xin. And MXTX's very first work is the Scum Villain Self-Saving System, or Rinja Fanbai Jiju Jiton, often referred to its English titles abbreviation SVSSS, or just Scum Villain, and it stars Shen Qingchuo and Luo Bingha, referred together as Bingchuo. It is also the only of MXTX's series to have a canon side couple who we'll also be drawing today. And those are Shang Qinghua and Mo Beijun, often referred together as Mo Shang. So, with these question answers and introductions complete for the characters, let's go on and get started on those illustrations. So about 2 weeks ago, I created a poll on Tumblr stating that I wanted to create fan art for some Danmei couples in Gyaru Fashion, and asked who should be up first, and Wang Xin won. Now, that on its own isn't super surprising. They are my favorites, so they are the ones I draw the most. However, I decided I didn't want to just draw one at a time and thought I'd just do the top 3. However, I did make a poor assumption that MXTX's main 3 couple were the top 3. And so I had begun drawing up sketches for Hualien, Wang Xin, and Bing Chou when I took a good look at it and realized that the 3rd place was actually Mo Shang. Whoops. Now, this shouldn't really have been so surprising either. Whenever I offer free Danmei sketch requests, it's almost always for Mo Shang. While they are overlooked in some way, on Tumblr specifically, the Scum Villain fandom is pretty big, and I think that's pretty cool, since it's probably her least well-known series. Now, since I'd already completed the Hualien sketch, I decided I wasn't going to just toss them, and I was just going to do all 4 of them instead, which kind of ruined the whole point of the poll, because if I was just going to do all of MXTX couples, I could just do that. I've done it on multiple occasions, but I digress. So with Mo Beijun being added to the mix, I really wanted to put him in something that would display his assets. He is the one that breasts boobly the very most, in my opinion. So I moved the outfit that I had put on Hua Cheng over to Mo Beijun and switched Hualien to a Kogal outfit since I realized I hadn't featured it in any of the outfits thus far. I was working on all 4 of them on the same file, so I didn't have to keep flipping between 4 different files and then edit them all together at the end. I also just prefer, when working on a set or series, to stay at the same step of each piece. So I sketch them and then line them all, color them, and then shade them all in that order. I was working with this kind of big mood board I created on Milanote, just with all kinds of Gyaru Fashion for inspiration. Some of the anime characters I use, I don't even actually know. I pulled them off of J Fashion Wearer of the Day on Tumblr, if I just like their look. There isn't really a theme per couple, outside of Hualien being matching Kogal outfits, that is. I just kind of put him in what I thought would be cute. I really like big hair for Wei Wuxian, and Long Wangji's pretty low-key, so he's probably showing a lot more skin than he would in canon. But obviously, we're not going for canon looks since they are wearing modern outfits, and all these series take place in ancient China. And obviously, they're not all going to lend to their personalities, but generally speaking, Lan Wangji is down with whatever Wei Wuxian does. For Bing Chou, I knew I really wanted to put Shen Qingzhou into this kimono-inspired outfit. I just really thought it suited his personality, though his personality is kind of fake it till you make it. Scum Villain is probably the funniest of all the series because he's a really funny narrator. As for Bing He, it could be argued that he also breasts very boobly. However, he is very much Shen Qingzhou's little baby girl, so I wanted to dress him as such. Outside of wanting to put them both into Kogal, there wasn't a whole lot of thought that went into Hualien's outfits. I wanted to include a butterfly for Hua Cheng and also wanted to give Jilin his big hat. Other than that, I did want to kind of allude to Jilin's sort of careless appearance with his socks falling down. I also just love oversized socks from the Gyaru Fashion. They're kind of the best part about Kogal. And then Mo Beijun, of course, as I already said, I wanted to put him in an outfit that displayed his goodies. Additionally, this does lend to his personality, where he is an ice demon and Sheng Qinghua is a human that gets pretty cold working with him. So I put Sheng Qinghua in a cute peacoat outfit and also gave his hair the deco treatment. I love Decora. It's just too cute. So I definitely had to feature it somewhere. As for Mo Beijun's boots, they came from this outfit here. I wanted to use more of it, but I really couldn't decide who I would put in the cat hat, and had already basically decided on everyone else's outfits at this point. So I left it as was, and I think if I do more Danmei couples, I might put Mo Run or Chu Wanning from The Husky and His White Cat Shih Tzu into this outfit, since they play more into their animal counterparts, more explicitly than the MXTX characters. All of the MXTX couples do have official animal counterparts. Wang Shun's are bunnies, Lan Wangji loves bunnies, and they appear throughout the Donghua as well, with a black rabbit for Wei Wushun and a white rabbit for Lan Wangji. And a pair appear in the last volume under the French flap. For Hualien, Xielian is a stout, while Huacheng is a fox. They also appear in the back flap of the last volume, and in the animations for the audio dramas, both characters are often shown with their animal counterparts' ears and tails. As for Bingchou, Xin Qingchou is a white cat, and Bingha is a little black fluffy dog, maybe a Chow Chow puppy. Now, only the little puppy appears at the back of the French flap for this one. However, it is still generally accepted that Xin Qingchou is a cat due to his almost tsundere nature and habit of pretending he doesn't care when he very much does. As for Mo Sheng, Mo Beijun is a snow leopard, referencing where he lives and his ferocity, while Shan Qinghua is a hamster. Mo Beijun even directly calls him a hamster in the text. While the leopard and hamster do not appear on the French flap, they do appear on some stickers included with the final volume in some languages special edition. Now, I've told you how I got into Gyaru fashion, but not how I got into Danmei. So, let's turn back the clock real quick. In February of 2023, the Heaven's Official Blessing Donghua was added to Crunchyroll. I had some interest in it, but mostly because I thought it was The Untamed. I had a roommate a few years prior that would watch The Untamed while I was in the living room, and while I wasn't too interested because I was usually playing a game either on my phone or someone's borrowed PSP, I still remembered some stuff she'd said about it, so when I saw it had an animated series, I thought I'd give it a watch. Eventually, I did figure out The Untamed was actually based off MDZS and not TGCF, but that's a different story. I was more interested in it as an animation specifically because it had an English dub. I tend to draw while I watch anime and such, so watching stuff subbed is pretty hard and is one of the main reasons I still haven't watched The Untamed despite being a big fan of MDZS. Anyway, if you've seen Danny Mata's reaction to Heaven's Official Blessing, or literally just that one clip of him screaming at them that they need to hurry up and bang in this second season, yeah, that's how I felt too. However, if you don't know much about Chinese censorship laws, it's basically illegal to be gay. Homophobia is just the law there. I'm not excusing it, of course. It's upsetting to say the least. But even fictional depictions of homosexual love are heavily censored. So in reality, Hualien will probably never get their 100% canon in the Donghua. MXTX's novels all started as a web novel, and they're uncensored online. But when they're printed in China, they are still heavily censored. And the US print is the uncensored version. However, I didn't know this at the time, and I just really wanted more of their romance. So I started looking for the TGCF novel, but finding the first volume proved really difficult. I don't know if it was just recently published in the US or what, but I could not find the first volume anywhere I went. I didn't want to just order it online because I had not read a novel in years, and I wanted to make sure that I could get into the writing instead of buying it and finding out that I didn't really jive with the writing style. This happened to me before, especially with Wicked. I really couldn't even get past the first couple pages. So, a full year later, in February of 2024, I went to Katsucon with my sister. And while I was there, I was again looking for TGCF. I could not find it. However, I did find a full set of MDZS and realized it was written by the same author and decided to buy the set and read it on the train on the way home from Katsucon. To say the least, by the time I was done, I was hooked and absolutely loved the series all the way through, and Danmei became my new obsession. This, of course, led me to read more Danmeis, starting with more of MXTX's work. I read Scum Villain next, and then finally was able to find the first volume of TGCF. Now at this point, I did know her writing pretty well, so I also could have ordered it online, but I was able to find volume 1 in the store. And this carried me to read quite a few other Danmei. One of my favorite other series is a goofy series called The Disabled Tyrant's Beloved Pet Fish. I really recommend this one if you're really just trying to get into Danmei and would like to start with something that's not too high stakes. All of MXTX's series will break your heart at least once throughout the series. So if you want something a little softer, I definitely recommend this one. I'm also very much into the Ballad of Sword and Wine at this time, though I can't say I care for that English title very much. But the main couple definitely have a chance of competing with Wang Xin as my favorite pairing, though I don't know if they'll ever be completely dethroned. The Ballad of Sword and Wine is a palace drama and a little heavier than some of MXTX's works. And then the other series that I mentioned earlier in this video was The Husky and His White Cat Shizun. A Shizun is essentially a teacher or instructor. The term would be similar to sensei or master, like a martial arts master. This series is the longest one that I've read and am currently still reading. I've bought through volume 8, but volume 7 destroyed me so emotionally that I have not been able to read it yet. I might just wait until I have another volume or two before I do read more. To say the least, it is not a starter series. It also is 11 volumes long, and there's only 8 volumes printed stateside so far, so unless you want to read it online with fan translations, I really can't recommend you pick it up right away. One of my favorite things about drawing Danmei characters is that there aren't really hard and fast character designs that you have to stick to. Since these characters really only appear in text, it's up to the reader to an extent to imagine what they look like. While there are official illustrations of the characters, a lot of them aren't exactly the same either. Such as MDZS, it's had a live-action series, The Untamed, as well as a webcomic series, and there's the illustrations in the book. None of them are exactly the same, so you can kind of take them as you will. When I draw Wei Wuxian, I prefer to draw him a little tanner than his partner, Lan Wangji, who is described as having skin as white as jade, so I tend to make him pretty pale. With Hua Lian, Hua Cheng specifically is a ghost king. He's not alive, so I tend to make him almost gray because, well, I don't want to call him a zombie, but I don't think he can bleed. Honestly, it might be time for a reread for that series. Shen Qing Chou is pretty sickly, so again, I prefer to make him pale, while Hua Binghe is strong and hot-blooded, so I give him a warmer complexion to reflect that. Also, in many official illustrations, Hua Binghe is depicted with curly hair. While I don't think this is ever specifically stated in the text, it's one of my favorite things about him. From what I know of the scum villain Donghua, it depicts him with straight hair, which makes me kind of sad, so I always draw him with this unique trait. And then, since Mo Beijun is an ice demon, I sometimes even make his skin blue, but I decided this time not to make him so inhumanly colored, but I always give him his big demon ears as well as Hua Binghe, and I like to give Hua Cheng long ears too. You might have even seen me go back later to put the long ears on Hua Binghe and Hua Cheng, since I did forget my first time through. But when I got to Mo Beijun, I realized I'd forgotten and went back and fixed those. And with the ears added, the colors completed, the shading added and adjusted as need be for hair and clothes, we're just about finishing up on this set of cute little Gyaru guys. Deciding the backgrounds, or if I even wanted a background, was a little hard for me, but I decided to do kind of similar to these almost school photo looking pics of these gals, with the highlight coming up near their faces. I did this sort of background and then threw in some sparkles because this is probably my favorite brush in the world, my glitter brush. And then I just did a quick outline on everyone and we were ready to go. So If you've watched this long, I just want to thank you so much for listening to me info dump about my favorite things and draw my favorite boys. Here are the final illustrations. Here's Wang Xin and Bing Chou, Hua Lian, and Mo Sheng. If you enjoyed this and would like to see more, please hit that subscribe button. This is still a very new channel, but I will continue uploading weekly and will begin uploading my animations and shorts from TikTok over here over the next couple weeks as well. Thanks a million, and feel free to ask any questions, or if you have any suggestions for future videos, leave them in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Bye!